Welcome back to another episode of aX-m Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Nahded. Today I'm joined by a 2-year Twitch affiliate. He is a good friend of mine. His name is Dylan, but you may simply know him as Evade. Brother, thanks for being here today. How are you?
Doing great, my man. Having my cup of coffee. Happy to be here.
I definitely appreciate you being here. Let's just jump right into it. Tell us a little bit how Evade came to be. You know, what got you into streaming, what games you got started on, and was there anyone that kind of set a trail for you to follow? Who was an inspiration to you?
Um, I would honestly say Nick Merckx was a big person that wanted to get me into streaming. I started watching him 4 or 5 years ago, playing Gears of War, a little bit of Call of Duty. Before he blew up and was all big and famous, I remember watching him when he had 200 viewers. And then our play styles lined up very similarly. I just seen a lot of me in Nick, kind of, if you will, and it just seems something that was very fun to do, be able to stream your content for other people to watch and to view. And so I ended up saving up money, getting all the required equipment, and doing it, and I loved it. I've never looked back since. No regrets for sure.
Yeah, right on. Now, obviously, before you got into streaming, you dabbled in some competitive gaming, especially like when game battles, and I don't know if you played on UMG, but when those platforms became a thing, you were definitely on there. So kind of run us through, talk about your track history with competitive gaming, talk about some of the teams you were on, some of the people you've played with, some of the people you've played against. What are some of those big name teams that you've managed to go up against in the past?
Right. So we'll kind of start at the beginning here. COD 4, Gears of War, first shooters I really fell in love with. Um, in Call of Duty 4, I was basically just a pub star until I was playing pubs one day, and I think it was like a search and destroy on Crossfire or something. I think I had a ridiculous game, and it was in pubs, so it was like 15 kills or something. And this dude hit me up through Xbox Live messages and was like, "Yo, I need you to join. I need you to join my game. Like, I want to talk to you." I was like, "Okay." So I joined this guy's game, and he was like, "Look, I got this friend that would love to talk to you, would love to play games with you." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Okay. So it ended up, guy's name who kind of got it all started was Andrew, and he went by the gamer tag STL Skrilla back in the day. Um, he he came from a Counter-Strike background, and Counter-Strike is like it's a very disciplined game, and he basically brought me in to play game battles and to play that disciplined style. So we played S&D. Um, and yeah, just kind of took it and ran with it, man. Ended up going from a pub star in a matter of 3 months. I was scrimming against pro teams in search and destroy. It was kind of crazy. Um, and some household names that are still in the pro circuit today, like Clayster, um, Rambo Ray, which he's retired now. Merck, can remember him, big timer before he joined Optic. This is like way in the early days, like Team Fear, Envious. We were right in the mix with those dudes, and we worked our asses off though, and that I think was what got my competitive edge in gaming. That was what started. Is what kind of started a long trend, if you will. Was I would say STL Skrilla started that for me back in the COD 4 days.
Nice. And what are the names of some of those teams that you were a part of? If you can recall, what were some of your records? What was the highest you ever reached in a leaderboard? What games were they on? Kind of talk about the success of the teams you were on and the people that played a part in that success.
Um, So COD 4 pretty much had the same team all the way throughout. We're on a team called Espionage. It was me, Skrilla, Warfox, a guy named Eddie B. Easy, and then our good friend Corey. He started to play with us there at the end as well. I would say we were consistently a top 3 S&D team throughout the eternity of COD 4. We were always at the top of the leaderboards. We got second place in a couple winter pop-up cups. And we even started mixing in the pro circuit matches, the pro circuit ladder. Finished with like an 11-4 record in that, which was impressive because we went from S&D stars at that point to playing, domination, things like that, respawn
Sabotage,
game types
probably.
that we had never really played before at a competitive level. Yeah. So it was awesome to be able to transition that way from S&D and into respawn. So that way that, we used to get a lot of knocks against us, like, oh, you guys are just an S&D team, da-da-da, you're trash. And we said, all right, motherfucker, hold my beer. Like, we're not just an S&D team. We'll put the time into respawn and we'll show you guys. And we did.
Right.
It was pretty awesome. I early on, I can remember, I don't know why this still sticks out to me, but it was a domination match on Crash against Team Envious. And I dropped, like, back then 30 kills for a domination match was ridiculous, especially against pros. I can remember I dropped like 42 kills or something. And at that point, I think my name in the pro circuit circle started to get quite a bit of recognition. They were like, okay, like this dude's not fucking around. But yeah, so, with the camaraderie we had, and we kept pretty much the whole team throughout COD 4, and that goes a long way, camaraderie wise. We were always at the top of the GB ladder. There was nothing that really held us back from being at the top.
Yeah. Now that was for COD 4. I know that even though you experienced success on COD 4, it really wasn't until World at War dropped. I think that you guys really solidified yourself as kind of, top of the food chain in Call of Duty.
Yeah, so in COD World at War, there were a couple factors that helped. I was a little more seasoned at that point. It was my second Call of Duty at that time. COD 4 was my first. I didn't play any of the ones previously. I didn't even know you could play online with other people until COD 4. That was just mind-blowing to me. But so World at War, it also caused a rift in the COD community because a lot of the top-end teams did not like World at War. Which was understandable. COD 4 was a masterpiece. So they stayed on that game, and a lot of teams played COD 4 for 2 years. We didn't. We decided to stay on World at War because we enjoyed it. And so we had the top 25%, part of the top teams did not even come to World at War, so that helped boost us up. And then, like I said, I think just that having a second year under our belt of playing at a high level and, more team scrims, more just learning how to prepare ourselves better, learning that playing pubs all day doesn't really make you better to a certain extent. That was really a turning point for us. And it was another year of camaraderie with the team. I mean, hell, you go from playing, you have a lot of these teams that are throwing teams together that have played, 4 matches with each other, and we've played 2 years worth of matches with each other. It goes a long way. So that helped propel us to the top. And I want to say the first season of Game Battles when World at War came out, we finished top 5. In the winter season, we were number 1 pretty much the entire season. And there's no doubt in my mind we're regarded as a top team in that game. I would say our biggest rival in that game was a clan called Independence. And they didn't really have our respect until we played them in a Game Battles one day and we beat them 3-0. And after that, they kind of started to look at us differently, and we ended up becoming friends because we were like, look, like we're the two top teams. It'd be a damn shame if we didn't scrimmage each other all the time to make each other better. So that's what we started doing, and that also propelled our game quite a bit.
Right on. And so who was on that team with you?
That team was we didn't have like a set four at the time. I think we had like a 6-man rotation. So it was me, Corey, Warfox, a guy named Lloyd. You can jog my memory. Who else was on that team? There was actually, I would say that was the set four right there. And we had 2 other people that I can't exactly remember that we used to rotate in and out as like our subs. But yeah, but I'd say that was the dominant 4 right there. That was who I would want to roll with. And STL Skrilla, he played with us at the beginning of that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to say about halfway through, he ended up bailing out. He was having he got like, you remember the Red Ring of Death? He got like 2 of those during World at War. So that really hurt him. It was just very unfortunate. And then he got tired of buying Xboxes, so I think eventually he just went to PC, which I don't really blame him. But yeah, so I think he actually ended up going back to Counter-Strike. But that's who knows what we would have done if Skrilla didn't get Red Rings of Death back then, dude. I mean, we probably could have dominated for a couple more COD titles, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he really was like the catalyst that held it together. I was definitely, when he left, kind of took over that leadership role, making sure everybody was on, making sure that everybody was warmed up before we played, making sure that we were putting in the necessary work to be dominant.
Right.
And I think that dominance that we had, and I don't want to say that we never lost, because we definitely did. I mean, we're all human. But Skrilla definitely established that hard work ethic. I think that trickled down not even through me, but as we were discussing briefly yesterday, even through you in some instances, and Corey for sure. It was great. I honestly credit a lot of that to Skrilla.
Yeah, for sure. I got to thinking yesterday after we had that conversation, um, about that time that I got a phone call from Corey, and he's like, "Look, you need to download my account because we're playing in the World at War playoffs, and I'm on vacation, and you're running around trying to find a headset because yours doesn't work." It was a cluster. And then I got to thinking after that. I definitely remember it was me, it was you, Warfox, and I got to thinking about it, and I really do feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you'll have a better memory, but did Skrilla play uh, in that playoff match?
He
Because
might have.
because I
I
really
honestly, it's
remember
been so long.
because I remember playing with him at some point. I don't remember on what game or when it was, but I remember playing with him because I can remember his voice faintly in my head still.
He honestly might have, because he played at the very beginning of that game. There's a good chance of it, honestly. It was either him or Lloyd, one of the two.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, that was World at War was definitely it was a one of a kind game. That's for sure. There's no other game like it besides the one they remastered. Um, it was completely 180 from COD 4. You had guns like what was it, the M1 Grand that people always accuse Corey and yourself of having modded controllers. You had to record your hands basically to show them
Oh, it was
it wasn't
the
modded.
M1A. Yeah, no, it was the M1A with the box mag, is
Yeah.
what it was. They yeah, no, I forgot all about that. Yeah, no, we had to after a while we were just dominating people with the M1A, and so it's a single fire carbine, and back then the meta was people would essentially, now they're called trigger stops, they would put trigger stops in their controllers or have modded controllers on the back where you just tap a button and basically your single fire gun, pistol, whatever, shoots full auto. Super overpowered. But we didn't do that. We just had fast ass trigger fingers. So everybody thought we were modding. And, which was against the rules. And so we legit had to record videos of each other playing sometimes because dudes would dispute matches and be like, oh, they're cheating, whatever. And like take pictures of our controllers. Like, it's crazy times.
Yeah, that blows my mind. And any way that someone can get a win, they're gonna try. Whether they have to dispute it and accuse you of cheating and just wait it out and see what happens. Because back then, game battles is kind of new. It was in its infant stages, and the game battles refs, they didn't always care about whether you had proof or not. Like if someone accused you of cheating, sometimes it just got ruled against you, whether you had proof or not. Because I ran into that issue a couple of times, which almost made me quit game battles altogether. But yeah, I remember that because there'd be times. And by the way, for people listening that don't know, Dylan and I and Corey, which you'll hear us mention several times, we all went to high school together, so it wasn't unusual for us to spend, nights at each other's house and just game all the time. So I remember once that we were over at Corey's, and I don't remember if you all were playing a match or what, but I was sitting there watching Corey play. He was in his bedroom, and you were in the little kind of living loft area, and just watching Corey play and shoot the M1A, it looked like he developed Parkinson's on his controller all of a sudden and was just going ham. It was comical to say the least. But
yeah, we had a method to it. Like so you would keep your thumb, it's on your right hand. So you would keep your thumb on the actual stick, and then you would take like your middle, your ring, and your pinky finger, and just spam that right trigger as hard as you could go, but trying to aim with like just your thumb on the controller essentially. And I'm not gonna lie, it did make it look like we were cheating, but we definitely weren't. I can remember before when we did team scrims all day once, and I swear I shot that M1A so much that I literally had to like go and get an ice pack to put on my hand. I didn't know what would help, ice, heat, whatever. I just grabbed an ice pack. My hand kept cramping, man, and finally I was like, "Look, I can't do it. Like somebody else is gonna have to run AR today. Like, I'm gonna have to run a MP40.
Right.
Can't do it, boys."
Yeah, no, and trust me, I can definitely see, why you had to do that. And you guys played with the claw, right? And just go ahead and
yes. So that was the game where
what
I
that
learned how to
is for those that don't know.
Right. So the claw. Right. A lot of you Generation Z are just have your scuff controllers now. Well, back in the day before scuffs, when you got your paddles on the back, if you wanted to be able to drop shot and have, elite movement in Call of Duty, you had to use the claw. So, you've got your left hand, you got your left index finger controls the bumper and the trigger. And you've got your thumb obviously controlling the joystick. Right hand, you've got your index finger curled up controlling all A, B, X, Y, and then you've got your thumb on the joystick and you've got your middle finger on the trigger. And a lot of people, that it geeks a lot of people out, but I mean, it was about, I would say, 2 solid weeks of me just forcing myself to use it, and I've never went back. So, we'll see if I get carpal tunnel in the next couple of years, but I'm still holding up. So.
And do you think that the claw gave you a distinct advantage over playing against people that use default or bumper jumper or tactical? I guess tactical for Call of Duty.
100%. 100%. That really took my game to the next level. And I didn't even know it was a thing until because Warfox used the claw. Like he started using the claw when he first started playing Xbox, and like I always wondered how his movement was so good. Um, but yeah, I mean, you got an extra finger on the controller essentially. It's fantastic,
Yeah.
and it really took my game to the next level. Especially, I would say with using a submachine gun and being close range and be able to jump and drop shot and all that. You know, an AR really not so much. You know, you just post up on a head glitch and
Mhm.
do whatever. But definitely with a submachine gun and close range, yeah, it's next level.
So did you play any other? I know you played, I think because we played Black Ops, it was either Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2 together. But did kind of past that point, did you play any other Call of Duties or any other shooters where, you thought maybe the claw wasn't as useful? Because, with the new Call of Duties, they get all these new mechanics. Like in Advanced Warfare, you had a fucking jetpack and can glide on the walls and like slide and all that other stuff. Do you think the claw actually helped with that as well, or do you think it hindered you in some ways?
So here's the thing about the claw is, and you could take this to the fucking bank and cash it. In no way, shape, or form does it ever hinder me from doing anything. So it's like, I may not be able to write a letter when I'm 50 years old, but gaming wise, yeah, I mean it's the end all be all. I mean, other than a scuff, I would say that this is 100% the way to go. It's definitely gave me an advantage in every shooter at least.
N-
Now if you're playing NBA 2K, like
Right.
okay, whatever, maybe not, but shooters definitely big advantage.
So, because I was getting ready to ask, have you tried using it on other shooting games? Uh, I don't know. Did you ever try using it with Halo,
Yeah,
Gears of War, etc.?
yeah, I've used it on everything. Fortnite, even the Call of Duties to this day, I still use the claw. Um, if unless I'm playing mouse and keyboard, I'm using the claw. I even use it when I play Rocket League. It's just it's embedded in me now. Like I don't
Uh,
think I could ever go
yeah,
back. But it's
use the claw to play on
you know,
mouse and keyboard.
so
See how that works out for you.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, now if you watch a lot of these like Fortnite pros, a lot of these cracked out 16-year-olds, they've got their keyboards. So you know how an average person has a keyboard just straight across their desk.
Right.
They've got it going like up and down or sitting at like a 45-degree angle, like, and they've got like their arms pinned. Like, dude, it's you think the claw is weird. You should see how a lot of these people play mouse and keyboard.
No, I don't. Anything that involves Fortnite, I try not to associate with it.
Well, even like Siege pros and stuff, like Counter Strike pros, like there's a lot of different mouse and keyboard strategies to use for
Oh
sure.
yeah, no, I'm sure. I've seen a few interesting, mouse keyboard setups for League of Legends, and it consists of four buttons. So, to each their own. Whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy. But yeah, some of these, that's like a Naga for people that play World of Warcraft that have like 12 buttons on the mouse. I'll never understand how people can successfully play with those buttons so close together on their mouse. It just blows my mind.
Right. So let me reverse this a little bit. Let me ask you something. So do you think that because you never used claw, correct? Or did you? I
I
don't
mean,
think you
you and
did,
Corey
but
told me about it. I tried it for a little bit, and I was just like, it messed up. If I would have been just playing Call of Duty, I could have probably, powered through it and gotten used to it. But where I was going from COD 4 to Halo 3 and back, like every day, it was messing with my Halo mechanics, and to me, that was the more important game at the time, at least, game battles was. So yeah, no, I didn't use it.
right. So from like an outside perspective looking in, somebody that didn't use the claw looking at somebody that does, like, do you think that like back in those days, could you tell when somebody was using the claw?
As what's that saying? The proof is in the pudding, right? So for those that did use it, they were
Yeah.
definitely better than people that didn't use it. I had success just using tactical. I think tactical for me worked the best because I used bumper jumper in Halo 3. Um, so that
Right.
was.
And I
that
can
was
understand that for sure.
yeah, and that's what worked for me. It allowed me to drop shot well. Was it the best? No, but it allowed me to do what I needed to do, and it fit my play style too. So that's the thing that you have to consider as well is, you know, if whatever control setting you use or whatever method you use has to fit the way that you play the game. If you're super aggressive and you like to run and gun, I could definitely see how the claw would benefit you. Or if you're using a weapon like the M1A where you have to have that fast trigger finger, or what was the other one, the G3 in COD 4. If you use those weapons, if that's your playstyle, I definitely see how the claw is beneficial to you.
100%. And I think that was my biggest thing was I mainly ran an AR, but I wanted to be like a Swiss Army knife. If
Right.
the team if the team needed a sub, an AR, a snipe, whatever, you know, I'd be running around with an M1A, dumping a box mag in about 3 seconds, drop shotting people,
Yeah.
crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I credit all that to learning the claw.
Now what I was going to say was what I was going to ask you. Where does Evade see himself 5 years from now as far as streaming goes? If the right game, do you think you're going to go back to playing competitive? What kind of game would it take to get Evade playing competitive again? And what do you want to accomplish as a streamer moving forward?
100 million subscribers. No. So
Well, buddy, I'm just going to go ahead and
basically,
say this. You might as well just go ahead and
here's
throw
my
in the
thing.
towel.
Well, we're at 50 million right now. We're halfway there
Oh,
now.
well, never
So
mind.
here's my thing about the whole competitive thing, and it really has nothing to do with competitive because I love playing competitive. It's what I do. I don't like losing at anything. I don't care if we're playing Nerf basketball on the back of somebody's door. Like, I don't want to lose at anything. It's what it's what drives me. I enjoy. I hate losing more than I like winning. It's one of those kind of things.
Right.
So the competitiveness, no matter what I'm doing, it'll always be there. But like if you want to play for example, if I wanted to go back to competitive Call of Duty, realistically, I'd have to go back to PS4, and that is something that I'm not interested in whatsoever. PC is the way to go, for sure.
For sure. Absolutely.
But no matter what I'm playing, it's always competitive for me. Like right now, I've been playing Call of Duty Warzone for the past couple days, trying to get better at that, and that's actually what kind of content I'm going to be creating going forward. Um, and even like when I played Fortnite, at my so-called my high on Twitch, I had 20 subscribers. And it was while I was playing Fortnite, and I think a lot of people fell in love with like that competitive edge that I gave.
Hmm.
In it, I'm not just walking around all ditzy like and just 360 YY no scopes. Like there's a place for that content, but you're just not going to get it from me.
Yeah. Well, let me
Now
ask you
I
this.
do
Let me
like
ask you
having a good
this.
time. It's not as
Do
serious
you
as it
do
used to be.
you think that first-person shooters are moving mainly towards the battle royale like game type? You think we've lost the classic first-person shooter that we got in like, Call of Duty and Halo, and now we're moving into this battle royale game mode for the future? You think that's where it's going to be at now?
I think that we are in the middle of that trend. Um, I'm a big stock market guy, and something from learning stocks is that, there's peaks and valleys. And eventually, things just die off. And I think the battle royale thing, it started in H1Z1 for me, at least, the PUBG days. And then, we got Call of Duty Blackout, we got Fortnite, we got all this other stuff. Even I think Ubisoft just this week came out with a new battle royale. It's the wave currently. Do I think 10 years from now they will still be a thing? No. I mean, because I remember H1Z1 when it first came out. Like that was the greatest thing for me. Like that was fantastic. I loved it. Just that experience of a battle royale. But it's like anything else. I think it'll go back to the norm eventually, to where people care a lot less about it. And like these companies like Call of Duty, Halo, etc., they focus on their core. And what kind of got them where they are today. But I think, yes, for the foreseeable future, it's here to stay, but it won't be here forever.
I think that I think you're right. I think that Call of Duty, Call of Duty has always been kind of like after probably Black Ops 1, in my opinion, Call of Duty became more of a trend game. Like they made game types that went with whatever people were interested in. Because, you think about it, World at War was the first Call of Duty game that established a different game mode in zombies, which, God bless them, Nazi zombies is one of my favorite game modes of anything. Um, but they established a different game mode for the first person shooter in Call of Duties. And then you went on to things like Firefight, which really didn't do very well. And then Fortnite, you know, PUBG, H1Z1, that was kind of that battle royale, but it was really Fortnite that said, okay, to take something out of your playbook, they were like, okay, hold my beer. And then they really took it to a new level. Um, so I think Fortnite has been the one that's kind of set the trend, and they have established themselves as a game that's probably going to be here probably forever. I think it's going to take to get back to what we're used to what I think, and obviously it's just my opinion, to what I think is like the best shooting games. To get back to that era, which was like 2007 when COD 4, Halo 3 was top of the market. To get back to that, I think we're gonna have to have a game that like Halo Infinite. Like if 343 comes out with Halo Infinite and it is exactly what we remember original Halo games being like, I think that is what we're gonna need to get back to those original, like back to the basics first person shooters that we're used to. It's going to take a big company brand like Halo or Call of Duty if they were just like, okay, this is what we're doing from now on. We're not going with the trend anymore. It's going to take a big name like that, I think, to kind of revitalize. Or it could be like Fortnite, where you just get a brand new shooter that's um, you know, s- fresh off the line and it's completely different, and we transition to something else. But I'm with you. I think that this battle royale game type it's here to stay for a while.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. And here's the thing that they can, like, for example, with this Call of Duty, uh, Modern Warfare, it's at its core, it's a great game, and its battle royale is a great game. And you know what? I'm fine with having both to play. You got the best of both worlds. I think that what's just happened is there's people that are staying true to what they know, and there's some people that are staying and playing the core game modes, and there's the other half of the player base that's saying, "Fuck that! I want to play battle royale,"
Right.
and that's fine. I think what it comes down to though is like referring back to Halo, they just need to keep making good games. Like that's the biggest thing. They need to keep
Yeah.
making good games to where they don't
100%.
feel like they have to have a battle royale to fall back on.
Yeah.
Because the game has to be good at its core.
No, I completely agree with that. Um, no, 100%. There's the game that I always wanted to play
But
and then just wouldn't because I didn't want to pay the subscription for it every month. And this is completely off topic, but it was WoW. I wanted to be one of those guys that played WoW, but I just couldn't bring myself to pay the $13 a month or whatever it was. It was some stupid number.
right. I have bought a WoW subscription probably the past 3 months. 15-year-old game. Here we are, 2020. Dylan plays WoW, and quarantine happened, and I always said, like, if I ever broke my leg or broke my arm or something, like, I'd give WoW a try. And here we go, coronavirus hit, and I'm quarantined. So I said, you know what, fuck it, boys, we're trying out World of Warcraft. So I tried it, and honestly, I love it. The subscription based, pay to play every month, it's kind of aggravating. Like I would, but then again, like with how the current games are set up, like what happened to the good old days when you paid $60 for a game and you didn't pay another dime in it for a year when you bought the
Yep.
next one?
Yep.
Like what bothers me is, for example, like Destiny 2. I paid $60 for that game. I ran out of content in 3 weeks. And
Yeah.
then literally like 3 months after the fact, they came out and said, oh, here's a $30 DLC. Like, no, fuck off. Like I already, like I would rather have that than have a game like Destiny 2.
hmm
And I love Destiny 2. I just ran out of content and I wasn't about to pay, for originally what would have been $60, in 2010. Now to get all the content for the game, you're going to have to pay $150 essentially.
Right.
That bothers me more than like a subscription base like WoW.
I'm with you on that. And I've actually, so I haven't been console gaming in quite some time. I actually haven't experienced this problem like I'm sure you have and so many others. Now, I remember, and we'll get back to the WoW thing in a minute. I remember I am perfectly okay with spending the $60 to buy the game. And then if they release DLC along the way, and that DLC is reasonable. Like I remember when I had when we were playing Halo 3, you bought the game, and then like 2 or 3 months later, you got a downloadable content for like 5 new maps that cost you like $7. Or, you bought Halo ODST, which came with a better graphic version of Halo 3, plus like a campaign mode, and then like plus 5 or 6 new maps. I'm completely okay with that. But yeah, having to pay $60 for a game and then having to pay $60 or $30 for additional content for that game, yeah, that's just crazy. That's ridiculous. And something else that gets me about these new games, holy hell. What was the last Call of Duty update? It was like what, 120 gigabytes or something like that?
Yeah. So yeah, I even did it. There was a patch the other day that like literally there was not much on it. I think there was one new map and just a couple like nerfs and buffs on guns on COD, and it was like a 42 gigabyte update. This was just like last week. It was like, what in the fuck? Like you need a server rack to be able to store more than 3 games on your computer.
Can you just imagine, like if we had, if that update had came out on Xbox 360, you would have to have like 2 external hard drives sitting on standby to hold that update. Like you would plug in all of your USB ports with just enough storage to hold the damn the update. Like it's crazy. And what blows my mind.
Yeah, and I know you remember. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh well. Oh, that's funny. I gotta share this because so I have this on transcribes, and when I said what blows my mind, it came up what blows my mom. So I don't know, computer. What does blow my mom? Anyway,
Nice.
So I've even lost my train of thought now. Oh, anyway, what's crazy is to think that you know Call of Duty is taking this competitive gameplay seriously now in ways that it never has. It's like you just said, it's updating, it's patching, they're buffing and nerfing guns. Like that's kind of crazy if you think about it. From when we started in COD 4 to now, could you imagine what would be 2 guns right off the top of your head in COD 4 that they would nerf? And what would be 2 guns that you'd be like, definitely buff them?
M16.
100% M16
M16,
without a
MP5.
doubt. No one needs to even think about that. You could take a half a burst of the M16 to the chest with stopping power and you were down. Like you were dead. MP5, I would probably agree with that. It was super overpowered.
Oh yeah. Here's something that I have noticed too about playing games like Escape from Tarkov, for example. Like guns in mainstream shooters have no recoil.
Oh,
At
100%.
all. Like they're all laser beams. Like I just uploaded a YouTube video this morning of me dropping like 80 kills on shipment, and I was using the Growl, which is currently the meta gun. And well, it wasn't headquarters, so
okay.
It was like a 4-minute game. Let's get off my dick. But yeah, so dude, just the guns have no recoil. And but you know, but it's fair because you know my gun has no more recoil than anybody else's, so you know it's whatever. But it's just, I would say it's crazy how easy it is, really.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, and I think I stopped playing Call of Duty. I've really stopped playing Call of Duty in Black Ops 2. I got my 10th prestige in Black Ops 2 in like seven days game time, 6 or 7 days of game time. Like it came out around Christmas, and then before Christmas I had my 10th prestige, and then I just stopped playing altogether, and I sold my Xbox. Like that was the last time I don't know why. I don't know what compelled me to do it, but after I got 10th prestige, like I had so many kills and like my stats were so great in Black Ops 2 that I had a friend who kept playing that game and for like 2 years. And when he finally stopped playing that game or went on to the next Call of Duty, like completely moved on, I was still on the top page of his leaderboards. I don't know what compelled me just to drop it all and quit, but that was the last Call of Duty I'd officially played, and I bought an Xbox again, probably back in 2018, and I bought Infinite
Mhm.
Warfare. I put the game in, I played one match, I took it out and took it back to GameStop. Like it was that bad.
Yeah, I did not play that Call of Duty at all.
It was the worst Call of Duty
I
I
will
have
say
ever
though,
played.
like the Advanced Warfare was good. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate Infinite Warfare because of the jetpacks and all that. But Advanced Warfare, like we bitched, like the community bitched about it back then. But like looking back on it, that game was pretty fun.
So let's work our way back a little bit. So we said our two guns that we thought needed nerfed. What are two guns COD 4 that you think needed a buff?
Fuck anything other than those two guns. But I will say I enjoyed. I don't know why, but I really like the G36C.
Yeah, I did too.
I would like to have seen that gun get a buff. It was a really good like pub gun. That and well, honestly, the 50 cal sniper rifle I think needed a buff. Believe it or not, for the sole fact that like realistically, that thing got way too many hit markers. Like you hitting somebody with
Hmm.
a 50
Hmm.
caliber round, like they're dying.
Right.
Like I can't tell you how many times that I got a hit marker with the Barrett 50 cal.
Yeah.
But that was just a fun gun to use. I
Th-
love that gun.
Oh yeah, I liked just running up to people and just going full automatic with it and just barrel stuffing it and then just pulling the trigger.
Yep, that run that with a Desert Eagle, you're big dick swinging.
Oh yeah, 100%. You definitely if you ran around with a Deagle and a Barrett 50 cal, odds are you're probably also driving a jacked up truck with mud tires. Like that's a good that's a
Exactly.
good you know a hypothesis. But anyway, my gun R700. You took one shot with that
Yep.
gun.
A lot of hit markers with that
You
gun.
took one shot with that gun, and wherever you were aiming it, it's completely in the opposite corner of the screen. The recoil
Yeah, no,
was
the recoil on
crazy.
that thing was ridiculous.
Let's see. Okay, anyway, I said I was going to work backwards now, so we've talked about the nerfs and buffs to the COD games. Before I go back to the World of Warcraft and we go full circle, um, favorite gun you've ever used in Call of Duty? Favorite gun you've ever used in Call of Duty?
I gotta pick one.
You got to pick one, the best one.
Hmm.
If you could, all right. So if it was like, if the creators, whether it's Infinity War, Treyarch, whatever, if they were like, all right, you can have one gun in any Call of Duty game you want, what gun would it be?
Man. Um, give me. I think. I mean, you just give me that. Give me the COD 4 M16. I loved it.
I
That would be very nostalgic for me for sure.
I respect that. For me, without a doubt, hands down, no questions, the TAR 21.
Yep, that game was a lot of fun.
The TAR 21 was probably my favorite gun in any Call of Duty game. It was either that or the what was it? The AK-74U from Black Ops 1.
or the actually give me the ACR from Modern Warfare.
Oh
2 or 3, I
that
can't
was a
remember.
that was a fantastic gun too. I really like that
That
gun.
one was, yeah, it was good close range, long range, didn't matter.
If we back up all the way to the beginning, and we, talking about WoW, I don't blame you one bit for playing. It's a great game, and the way they've got it worked now, if you spend enough time on WoW, you can actually get game time for free, which I think is something good that they've done for the game. I don't think it was like that when I first started playing it back in like the Burning Crusade days and Wrath. It might have came around during Wrath, but to my knowledge, I don't remember that being a thing where you could turn gold into game time. But I have ordered the last,
Hmm.
I have pre-ordered and purchased the last three expansions of World of Warcraft and haven't played a single one of them.
Well, that just don't make no fucking sense.
I know.
Makes you act like that.
I I wasn't loved enough as a child, I guess. But I have every intention. I played Legion, and Legion was the last one I played.
Okay. Yeah, I never played WoW until like 3 months ago. Um, I don't play it every day. I played every once in a while, but definitely fun. I played it when they came out with the double XP because so many people were
Uh-huh.
stuck at home at quarantine.
Yep.
I got to level like 60 in like a week. It was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, I did play Molten WoW for a long time because that was the free version where you had like quadruple experience all the time. So you get to max level in I don't know, probably 3 days.
2 2 days.
Yeah, so like two,
Yeah,
3 days. Like it
crazy.
was it was no time. So yeah, so that's the WoW thing. Well, let me ask you this, because I started thinking about it. What is Evade's brand?
My brand is like I was talking about earlier, like that competitiveness. I mean, if I could describe my brand, what I want people to think of it, it's competitiveness. A good guy, always about the win. You know, always about the win with his buddies.
I respect that, and that's totally something that you can that because your image is basically um, how people perceive you. So if that's the way that you carry yourself, that's the reputation you're going to get, and if that's what you want, that's great, and it's a good thing to have those characteristics that you're describing. But uh, what I think that you need is if you hear envious, the first thing you think about, I mean, you can picture, you don't even have to hear the word envious. If you just see their logo, that envy and the baby blue, you know that that's envious. Cloud9, they have a symbol, same way. Um, Even if you don't play League of Legends, if you see that SKT and the wings, I mean, obviously it's in the name, but
Yeah.
you know who that is. So, what we need to figure out something to whether it's an emblem, probably an emblem. For this line of work, you need a good emblem that represents who you are, that you're passionate about. That if someone 5 years from now was to see that emblem, they would associate it with evade. You know what I'm saying? So what we need to do is we need to sit down and we need to figure
Right.
out, not today, obviously, because that's a that's a long process coming up with the idea and then designing it.
Right.
So, but just to be something to be thinking about, think of what you want your brand to look like, what you want that image to look like, to where 5 years from now, someone sees that emblem and goes, that's Evade. I know who that is. And same thing for any competitive team. Because I
Right.
remember Justify, right? It was the just, that was basically
Yeah.
kind of the brand. Um, but you could
Yeah.
have that could have gone. I think you could have elevated that, and that's something to think of moving forward. You can elevate that even further with getting a brand image for that team as well. So I think a brand image is very important, especially in this line of work. becoming either whether it's a professional gamer or professional streamer. I think a brand image is really important. But also what you just said about
Right.
how you want people to perceive that brand. You want it to be okay, that symbol, that's Evade symbol. Evade is a competitive guy who loves playing with his bros and hanging out. Like, if that's what you want, that's great. We just got to figure out that emblem that's going to cause people to connect those dots for you. Um, and I
Right.
saw yesterday,
100%. So if there's
absolutely.
any graphic designers,
Uh-huh.
so if there's any graphic designers in here, drop your Twitter handle in the comments. We'll hit you up. We're gonna need one.
Absolutely. And, I can do basic Photoshop skills to create an emblem, but, with all of these like high def in detail designs that people make from scratch, I'm not on that level. And so many people, there are a lot of people out there that can deliver that kind of quality. And, you guys have a trait, a trademark ability that, it's whether you naturally had it or you worked hard to get there, you definitely have a skill that's valuable in this field. So yeah, definitely do what do what Dylan said. Leave your Twitter handle, leave Instagram, whatever. Leave us a way to get in contact with you, and we'll definitely get you some work. That's for sure moving forward. Um, but also, we talked yesterday. Just from the brief conversation we had, I know that you went and added your social media handles to your waiting screen on your stream. So, it's
Correct.
just little things like that go a long way in helping you build your following. And just go ahead and let everyone know, and there'll be a place at the very end for you to do this again, but what social media platforms you're using and what your handles are.
Right. So twitch.tv/aoXEvade. Everything is aoXEvade. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. So you'll catch me on Twitch 4 or 5 days a week, sometimes 6, 7. I've streamed for 3 months straight before. Now my Instagram just made it. About a week ago. I currently have no content on it. So that is kind of where the coaching comes in. Is I am putting in the work, I believe, on Twitch, but I need to be more aggressive on my other platforms as well to be able to, I believe,
Right.
help myself brand. I think so, anyways.
No, you're 100% correct. You're spending a lot of time on Twitch. That's great. You're creating live content, which is something that this kind of audience is consuming a lot of. I mentioned it yesterday in another podcast that I was doing. Record your streams. Record your streams because your streams will, that's gameplay, and your gameplay provides additional sources of content. So if you're streaming, that's one piece of content. If you record the video, now you have a captured piece of gameplay. That's another piece of content for like YouTube or something else. If you take clips out of that video, now you have another piece of content, whether it's a highlight clip or whether you want to poke fun at yourself and be like, look how bad I fucked up type of play, for comic relief
Right.
montage or something like that. That's another piece of content. If you take a screenshot within that video of something cool that you did, or getting like a 4 piece or a 3 piece or something with a grenade, or just mowing people down, or maybe you take a screenshot of the after game score and you dropped 100 plus kills or something, or you went like 60-0,
Mm.
things like that. Those are pieces of content all wrapped up in that one video. So you can potentially get 6 to 10 pieces of content off of one video. When you start talking about content, there's two things that you need to realize. One, you need to think about the amount of content that you're distributing each and every day across all of your platforms, the type of content that you're distributing on each platform. So, what I mean by that is obviously the content that you post on YouTube, it's, if you post a video on YouTube and it gets 100,000 views and 10,000 likes, you're not going to get that same feedback on Twitter or Instagram, because on each platform, people consume content differently. It's not the same content that they're trying to consume on Twitter as they're trying to consume on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. So you have to build the content and distribute it accordingly. Now, in my opinion, I think for every hour that you're awake, you need to be posting at least one piece of content on each of your platforms every hour you're awake. Now, if you do one stream for 3 hours a day and you record every single video, you probably have enough pieces of content to do multiple days. You just got to sit down and do the editing and
Right.
and the necessary means to get that content. And then all you have to do is just post it. If you do more than
Right.
every hour, that's great. Because if you figure, because I think, and a lot of marketing experts agree with this, if you can post 100 pieces of content a day, that's where you should be trying to reach. That's the number, that's the magic number you should be trying to reach is 100 pieces of content a day across all of your social platforms. And Twitch is different because, it's a live stream. So that's technically I don't know,
Mhm.
each match is a piece of content. I don't know how you classify Twitch, but for like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook posting on like a page that you have created for Evade Gaming or Justify Gaming or whatever. That's three platforms on Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. Or excuse me, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'll get it right eventually. That's three pieces or three social platforms. So if you post, if you're up for 10 hours or 15 hours, 18 hours a day, that should be 18 times 3. So you're looking at what, 10, 20, 30, 46, 50. You're looking at 54-ish pieces of content.
Right. And then, with a typically 5, 6, 8 hour live stream, which is what I normally do, I mean, would you say that that would be good enough?
Okay, so good enough is kind of irrelevant. Good enough to who? You know what I'm saying? Or to whom, rather.
Right.
Definitely don't neglect your YouTube page because YouTube is still king, in my opinion, for content, especially video content. If you're posting 20 pieces of content, 18 to 20 pieces of content every day on Twitter, on your Facebook page, and on Instagram,
Mm.
so you've got at least 60 pieces of content there, and you're streaming for 3 to 4 hours a day at least, and then you post one, maybe two
Mm.
videos. It depends on how long the videos are, because you can make some quality YouTube content off of 15, 20-second video clips. So if you're posting like at least 2 to 3 pieces of content on YouTube every day as well, I think you're doing enough that you will see followers. And especially in the early stages, you're definitely going to see followers by doing that, increase followers and subscribers. But the more content you can get out, the better. And, if something that's kind of neglected is transcribe your videos, transcribe your pod or your streams. Put it, if you can get you have a video version, if you can transcribe it and get an audio version, and then you can transcribe your audio into different languages, oh, now you have a whole bunch of other pieces of content, and you also have tapped into a market that you weren't going to get before. So because now you've got your stream in Korean, or you've got your stream in Spanish. So, you're reaching an audience that you wouldn't have been able to reach before that. So those are good methods as well. And, when you start talking about transcribing your content, and especially into different languages, at first it may not benefit you that much because you may not be pulling a crowd that doesn't speak English. Your crowd may speak English, and everyone that watches you may speak English, so it may not help you. But then again, it may help you, because is the reason that people aren't watching you that speak other languages, is it because they can't understand you in English? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely not going to hurt you.
Right.
It's not going to hurt you. It's just going to take some more, it's going to take some extra time. But it's definitely not going to hurt you. If only the only thing it's going to do is benefit you, especially in the long run, I think. And also, I would advise to you, do what I'm doing right here. Make a podcast.
Mhm.
Now, podcast is the future. I firmly believe that. It is just another piece of content for you. It can be audio, video, a combination of the two. It can be transcribed into different languages. You're getting, depending on who you interview, maybe it's,
Right.
maybe it's something like I'm doing now where I interview other streamers. So once you do that, you're getting a hold of their fan base as well. Or it could just be a podcast where all you do is get on and talk about events and games that are coming out and things like that. And there's a big market for that. You don't even have to interview anyone. But podcasts are, it's a piece of content, it's a piece of media that people are consuming, and they're consuming it in large quantities right now. So I would definitely recommend you getting a podcast eventually, but focus on your brand first. And well, okay, so focus on distributing your content first, and also focus on your brand and
Right.
developing that brand image, because that's going to help you in the long run.
Right. And that is a really good point about reiterating back to what you said about like an emblem or a logo. It's just something else that will help determine my brand, something that somebody can look at and say, oh, this is this, so
Do you know who your target audience is, by the way? Like, who are you targeting specifically with your streaming? Obviously, it's people playing Call of Duty, but do you have an age range, or do you have a specific branch of Call of Duty that you're wanting people to
right. Well, that
watch?
is something that I guess is that I'm still trying to determine at this point. It's I would say people our age, 20s,
Hmm.
but I don't want to say that I'm not targeting everybody from top to bottom,
Right.
because I mean I am. I would prefer all of them, but I would say the median there is North American English speaking 20 to 30 year olds.
So with people, that's kind of easier for you to get inside the minds of your audience, because it's people that enjoy the same things as you do, and you're the same age. So if you think about it, you can start by asking yourself, if I, as a consumer of content, what do I want to see when I hop on Twitch? Or what do I want to see
Right.
Call of Duty related when I get on YouTube or when I get on Twitter?
Mhm.
And going back to making content for your consumers, there's a book. It's called Jab, 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 Right Hook. It's by Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you know who that is or not. He talks about the jabs being the things that you do for your consumers. So you're producing this content for your
Mhm.
consumers. That's the jabs. And then when you bring in that right hook to, kind of finish them off, per se, that's when you ask them to do something for you. So it's like give, 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 give with the jabs, and then the right hook is the ask. And in this case, the ask is going to be to subscribe and follow your channel, or to buy your merchandise, or to give you donations, or to sponsor you. That's the right hook. And you're not going to get to the right hook without throwing in a couple jabs first, because the jabs weaken them.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that I noticed. Like, for example, my Twitch took a big hit whenever I stopped streaming Fortnite/PUBG.
Uh-huh.
I like I said, when I had my 20 subscribers, which was at my peak, it got cut in half the following month, because I quit streaming Fortnite and PUBG.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's because you
and that
changed
was something that I
audiences.
was tired of. Now I'm a firm believer, exactly, and those people went elsewhere, and but my thing was so tired of those games that I took a break from them for a little bit and started streaming other things. And I get it, they were there for that. But I think there does need to be a balance. Instead of streaming Fortnite 10 hours a day, I didn't have to completely stop streaming it. I could have maybe streamed at 5 and then streamed something else the other 5. You know what I mean? Like a little balance
Yeah.
there.
No,
Um,
absolutely. And
but yeah,
something else to add to that is, whether you're streaming Fortnite or Gears of War, Call of Duty, Rocket League, even, you're eventually going to get people that sub to you and follow you, who are just genuinely a fan of you as a content creator. You're always going to have people, if
right.
you play a popular game, you're going to have more people tune in to watch you than if you play a non-popular game. But you're always going to have your dedicated subs that will watch you just because you are a good content creator. And that goes back to being entertaining over skilled. You know, some of the best the best streamers, the highest viewed streamers right now, they're not necessarily the best at whatever they're doing, but they are one of the most entertaining
Mhm.
people in the field that they're streaming in. So entertainment, prioritize entertainment and doing what makes you happy over trying to be the best when you're talking about streaming, because you're going to get more people that are going to sub to you and to follow you and to watch you constantly and consistently if you're entertaining. So let's see here. We've talked about using your social media platforms. We've talked about developing a brand image for you. Um, do you have a Facebook page that is dedicated to Evade?
I do not know.
So that might be something you consider making, because I'm pretty sure Facebook is still the most highly user oriented social media platform. So what I mean by that is, there are more people that use Facebook than I think just about any other social media platform. It's still the most popular social media platform. TikTok, when it first came out, it got super popular. It's still super popular, but Facebook is just like a constant, it's just a consistency in the social media platforms. Just about everybody that watches you on Twitch or checks out your YouTube videos or reads your tweets, odds are they have a Facebook page, or they have a Facebook page as well. So, and you're going to be able to produce content on Facebook. You're going to be able to make posts, set reminders, create events like when you're getting ready to go live, and I know you can do something similar like that on Twitch, but there are more people that use Facebook than Twitch. So that gives you a larger audience
Oh yeah.
and a larger pool when it comes to marketing yourself. Because, see, I use the Facebook page for me, I use that as kind of home base. If somebody needs to get a hold of me,
Mhm.
or they want to check out my latest content, or they want to see when I'm getting ready to do something, they go to my Facebook page to check it out. And then the Facebook page directs them
Right.
to all the other social media platforms when something's going on. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, in the sense that, okay, Facebook is Grand Central Station, and from Facebook, they can go to each of my other social media platforms to consume all the other different pieces of content. And they know, they're always up to date, and they know what's going on, when it's going on. Also, Facebook advertising, super affordable, super cheap. Definitely, once you get to that point when you feel like you're ready to do paid advertising over organic advertising, Facebook's definitely the way to go. If you start selling merchandise, the Facebook page allows you to kind of set up a little marketplace where people can go and either buy off of your Facebook site, or on your Facebook page, you can direct them to your website, which is something else to consider. After you get to a certain threshold of subscribers and followers, create your own website and then run everything out of your website, because then you can have a direct link for your merchandise via your website. You can have direct links to your social media platforms. Hell, you can even stream directly on your website. So, website is, if you can create your own website and you can foot the bill to maintain it and to modify it and to make it aesthetically pleasing and functional, then that's definitely something you want to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it just like the overall thing you're trying to say is just the more people that you can expose yourself to, the better.
Absolutely. The more
It's kind of what I'm getting
faces,
from
the
this.
more the more the more screens that you can get your content on, the better. The whole thing about marketing yourself, no matter what field you're in, whether you're in gaming, business, real estate, food industry, sports, whatever, get your content on as many platforms as possible so you can get it in front of as many eyes as possible. The whole thing about marketing is determining your audience and then meeting your audience where they spend the most of their time. So if the majority of your audience spends, or if yeah, the majority of your audience spends most of their time on Twitter, you need to make sure that you spend a lot of time on Twitter. If the majority of your audience spends the majority of their time on Twitch, then you need to spend most of your time on Twitch. Now that doesn't mean neglect all the others, but it just shows you where you need to spend a lot of your time.
Right. And no, that makes a whole lot of sense. And then, exposing yourself to those other platforms and realizing, what content is for what platform. So,
Yep.
and then as we had discussed, I put a lot of time into streaming. I just need to mix up my schedule a little bit and make sure that I'm exposing myself on those other platforms so my Twitch can start to flourish more too.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's all, think of it as as a wheel, okay? And think of it as, so you have the wheel. All your social media platforms are spokes on that wheel. If one spoke is longer than the other, the wheel's going to give in on one side. In
Mm-hmm.
order for that wheel to function properly and to get what you want out of that wheel, all those spokes have to be the equal length, or they all have to have the equal amount of attention paid to each one, in order for you as a whole to achieve what you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to uh, make sure that you're dedicating enough time to all your social media platforms, because if you don't, you're
Right.
leaving a large portion of your audience in the dark. You know, people may really want to follow you, but they may not, never even heard of you. And that's because maybe you don't spend enough time on Twitter, or maybe you don't spend enough time on YouTube, and you never get that audience, you know?
Right. And it's something that I can attest to. It is very hard to stand out solely on Twitch by, you know, being another streamer in the pages and pages and pages of streamers. Like you
Yeah,
have to find a way to, well, first off, get people to click your stream, and then second off, to be able to retain them
right.
and get them to come back. And
Well,
I think that I can get people to retain my content. It's
uh-huh.
just getting them to find me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the hardest parts, because, right now it is the best time. Right now is the best time to either try to become a professional gamer or to become a professional streamer. Either way you look at it, now is one of the best times to try to make a profit off of video games. Esports is in one of the
Right.
best places it's ever been, and it's only going up. And with the amount of social media platforms available to distribute your content, it's never been easier. It's never been easier to get your content out. Now, with on the other side of that, because it's never been easier to distribute your content, everybody and their mother is trying to become a professional gamer or professional streamer.
But now, see, the perk of being a smaller streamer, and it's something I take a lot of pride in, is being very interactive with your chat. That's something that Ninja can't
Absolutely.
do. Whenever Ninja is streaming to 100,000 people, if I try to type something in his chat, the odds that he's going to read that is under 1%,
Oh yeah,
or that he's going to respond to it. He may
right.
read it, but he probably won't respond to it. So it's like that's something that I definitely try to do, is I'm trying to build a community, and I try to give everybody that takes time out of their day that stops into my stream. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're toxic, I'm not going to give you time, and I'm probably going to ban you.
Right.
But people that come in with good intent, that want to come in and be a part of the community, you will get my undivided attention while I'm also producing good content. Now, that is an advantage I do have over, the ninjas, the shrouds, things like
Hmm.
that. So, and that's something I have taken a note of, and I do take pretty seriously, is, you know, giving my chat my undivided attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something, like you said, that is a quality that you're able to do right now that is extremely underrated. Um, and it's funny that you mentioned toxic people and, banning them right out the gate, but that was another topic in a podcast that I did. You can check that out. That's episode 1 with his name is Splurky. He's a Monster Hunter streamer. He went into a probably a 15-20 minute uh, bit on toxicity in gaming, and we kind of shared some thoughts on that, and it seemed like toxic gaming has always been around. It's definitely always been around. Trash talking's always been a thing, but it seems like it's gotten a lot worse over the years.
Well, because there's no repercussions for it. There's And with all the new social media platforms, it just gives them, used to, it would be, okay, you run into a kid in a COD lobby, he says something about your mom, and then at the end of the game, that's it. Well,
Yeah,
now that kid that said something about your mom can find you on Twitter, can find you on Facebook, can find you on Instagram. Just as great as social media is that it can be very positive, it also goes the other way as well.
100%.
Um,
And you
and
know,
that's why just bad vibes people. I if somebody comes in and makes a snide remark in my chat, I'll try to fill them out a little bit, and if it's a bad vibe, I will get rid of them.
right.
That's I've found me that's the best way to do it because I've you give people a chance, and if they want to come in and be dickheads, just let them go be a dickhead somewhere else.
Right. Well, and that's something that you have to consider for your community as well. If you want to build a community that, is a safe environment that, when people join your lobby or they come to watch you, they don't, it's just a place where they can kind of kick back, chill, and enjoy the
Mhm.
content. Well, you have to make sure that you kind of snuff out the toxicity early and not allow it to be a reoccurring thing because if you're toxic and you allow toxic people into your community, then eventually people are going to associate you as being a toxic gamer. Now, don't get me wrong, that can work out for a lot of people. A lot of people have made a great career off of streaming and professional gaming by being toxic players. But at the end of the day, you have to determine is that something you want to be associated with. And I feel like a majority of people, uh, the answer to that question is no. And about the social media platforms and just being toxic in general, I don't think a lot of people understand that, look at these streamers that have taken, what'd you say? There's been three streamers that have taken their life this year or something like that, or over the course of the last month or something. People need to
Yeah.
understand that depression's a real thing. And, as calm and collected as people may seem on the outside, what you say to them over the internet, you don't know how that's going to play on them. You don't know how that's going to affect them. And I think that we actually see that now with these professional streamers who are in the view of the public now for, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And we're watching them, these toxic people take a toll on them. Because I guarantee you, if you go and look into it and really, really look into it, I guarantee you, if you were able to ask these people that committed suicide, these streamers, I guarantee you they would all have one thing in common, and they would probably say some of the comments, either one, the comment themselves set them over the edge, or two, the comments brought up something in their past that they were trying to avoid. Because games are a good way to avoid the real world, and if you have people that are constantly reminding you of the things you're trying to avoid, especially if you have depression and you're not on medication, or even if you are on medication, uh, that plays a great deal on your psyche and your emotions, and you end up with people taking their own life. People need to be more cautious of that.
I think too in the times we're in, it's weird times right now for a lot of people, and it's a very sensitive time. It's more sensitive than I would like for it to be, but it's the sheer numbers too. It's the Twitter mob, if you will. Like it's like once the shit starts rolling downhill, it's like everybody jumps on
Oh, it's
bandwagon
just a
with it,
landslide.
and that's not good. It's not good at all. And we need to be uplifting people, not ripping them down.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that. Kindness is like the number one underrated virtue that people can have.
100%. And like, how hard is it to like? I think as a society as a whole, we just need to be better people. Like, so let's say that a streamer that I watch every once in a while is on, and just hop in somebody's chat and be like, hey man, just stopping in to say, hey, what's up? I hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good stream.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
that's
Like,
huge.
but instead,
That's gonna make their
and
whole
not
day
and not
better.
everybody, right? Even if you don't watch them for hours on end, just stop in, and be like, hey man, what's up? Like, even if you don't give them money, even if you don't give them a sub, be like, hey man, how's the game going? Da da da. Hope you have a good day. Like, how fucking hard is that?
Like if you don't have a strong friends base, or you don't have a strong fan base already established before you start streaming, the first few months of streaming, especially for someone that is sensitive or is super hard on themselves, the first few months of streaming is so hard. because you're tuning it. You're spending hours a day live streaming, and there's a good chance nobody's going to tune in to watch you. That's
Yeah,
kind of rough.
and yeah, it's very rough. I mean, and imagine how much more demoralizing it is for like a small streamer to have somebody like stop in their chat and then just be a complete asshole to them. And
Exactly.
like it's just them in there and an asshole. It's like well shit, I didn't spend all this money on this to just get trash talked all day.
Absolutely. And
So
if you spend 4 hours a
it's
day
crazy.
streaming and you just have one person that pops in just to tell you you're a piece of shit, I mean, that's probably the last time that person's ever going to stream. And you just crush this person's dreams of being of making a living doing something that they enjoy. Or maybe they're not even wanting to make a living. Maybe they're just wanting to just do something they're passionate about. And who gives you the right to hop into this lobby and say, "Hey, you're a piece of shit"? Like it just doesn't make sense.
Right. And with like imagine taking time out of your day to ruin somebody else's.
That's just a waste of your day.
You know? Yeah. And the thing is too is that but going into this business, going into being a content creator, streamer, YouTuber, whatever, I mean, going into it, you're ignorant if you don't come in expecting that to some degree. But it doesn't make it okay that it does happen.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
there's just no place for it.
No, I completely agree. And it's just like with this
So
podcast. Um, I don't expect it to perform well in the beginning. It may take 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 episodes before I even get 10 views. It may take 100 episodes before I get 100 views. There's really no telling. And then as soon as I post these, within a week, I may have 3 episodes up, and then I may get 1,000 views. Like you never know, and you have to go in knowing that it could be a uphill battle to get your content in front of the people that it needs to be in front of. Um, and there's always going to be toxic people no matter what you try to do. You just have to persevere through it and keep making the content because it's something you're passionate about, and make the content for the people that care and that do sub to you and that do follow you, because they're going to be the ones that lay the foundation to getting you where you need to be.
yep, 100%.
I think that this will be a good time to conclude our podcast for today. Real quick before we go, I just want to say thank you for being here, and for those of you that have stuck around to listen to this podcast, I appreciate you guys. Give us a like and follow if you're interested in what we do, if you want to support what we do. We take great pride in delivering quality content to you guys in a meaningful manner. We don't do it because we feel like we have to. We do it because we want to. And if you want to be on our podcast, you're more than welcome to. If you're a streamer, professional gamer, if you are just getting into the professional gaming scene or the streaming scene, all you have to do is leave a comment. We will get in contact with you. Leave us your name, your tag, your social media handles. We'll get in contact with you. We'll get you a spot. Dylan, I want to thank you for being here today. I know this is the second time we've tried to record a podcast, and this one actually looked like it worked. So, I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you taking your
Yeah.
time out of your day for the second day in a row to record this. Go ahead and give everyone a shout out with your Twitter handles, and your Instagram, YouTube, all your social media handles, both
Yeah.
a both mine, aX-m podcast, and Dylan/Evade. All of our social media handles will be in the description links, so you can go and subscribe as you choose. And Dylan, go ahead and hit them with those handles one more time.
Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all aoXEvade.
Boom! It's just that easy.
Nice and simple for you.
Absolutely. And I'll get you to
Yep.
send me those links. I'll attach those links to the description. Anyone that's interested in following the podcast, myself or Dylan, um, definitely check out the description. You can find each of our social media handles. Go give them a like, follow. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, and any questions you may have, or if you'd like to be the next guest on our podcast, let us know. Dylan, thanks for being here again.
Yep. Yep. Thank you. You guys have a good day.